Hello. Hi. My husband's heart has just sunk when he's seen that I've been given a mic. I'm just going to leave that there for a second. When Jen asked me if I would be up for sharing my story, my first thought in my head that I didn't verbalise was, oh, so dull and boring. Who wants to listen to that? However, it says in the scriptures, always be prepared to give an answer to anyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. And I thought, well, how can I say no? Not up for that. Okay, now, I am old school. Anybody else use a notebook? Hey, notebook. Yay, notebook and a pen. Okay, my story. I'll try not to be too dull or boring for you, but there is a point to a dull and a boring story. There is. Okay, so my name's Mel. I'm 53. I am a wife to Rob for 30 years in January. I'm a mum to 3 big boys and a mum-in-law to 2 amazing, beautiful, gorgeous girls that introduced our house to glamour, pink, and lovely smelling perfumes. So I'm very, very blessed. Once upon a time, my story would have been, I am Mel, I am a mum of 3 kids, and I am a wife. Our stories change. As time goes on, our focuses change. I am now a wife and a mum to 3 big boys. My story's changing all the time. Okay, that's an encouragement for some of you little ones thinking, oh, it's always going to be like this. No. Okay, so as a little one, my parents sent me to Sunday school. I'm the eldest of 4 children, and I think they thought there was a great babysitting opportunity there for them to grab on a Sunday morning at Sedgley, Aldercopy School, where I went. I was brought up on the Northway in Sedgley, and me and my sister were sent from as soon as it opened. As soon as Eve Lane Church set up a Sunday school on the Northway in Sedgley, we were there, week in, week out, learning all about the Bible, learning the stories. I'm from a Sunday school generation. I learned about Daniel, and I learned about Jesus, and I learned about Moses. All the Sunday school teachers' stories that we had, that's my background. That's what I grew up on. You know, it was just great background. When I hit 8, I remember my Sunday school teacher, Mrs. Meredith. I always felt she was very, very old. She probably wasn't that old. She was probably in her 50s, but she always felt like old Mrs. Meredith. And she was my Sunday school teacher, and she was the first one to kind of introduce me to being able to have some kind of relationship with the Jesus we talked about in the Bible. She was the one that told me how to pray a special prayer. She's the one that said, God doesn't care where you do it. You can do it at home in your bedroom. And I remember going back home and praying a prayer to Jesus at the age of 8 and asking him to come into my life. Not really sure if I knew what I was doing. My life has 3 significant events. I should have perhaps said that. So that was event number 1 as an 8-year-old. And then during that time, I had friends that used to invite me around for Sunday tea. And then we used to go to Eve Lane Church with her parents. So my friends' parents used to have me for tea, and then they would take me to church. And that was what we did on a Sunday. It was lovely. We had salmon sandwiches, and then me and my friend Rebecca, we would just play, do girly things, and then we would go to church. During one of these such visits, I would be 12, and I remember the preacher, this is in Gornal, Eve Lane, preaching a message that really resonated with my heart. And I remember as a 12-year-old going out for prayer to be prayed for by a fabulous lady. I know these ladies' names in my head. They're such a big part of my life. They probably haven't got a clue what they've done in my life. But I remember praying with this fabulous lady. And again, I said a prayer. I invited Jesus into my life. And something seemed to change and resonate with me. And then the connections with church were through you get to a certain age in Sunday school and they don't want you to go, so they make you one of the helpers. And I became one of the helpers in Sunday school. And a couple, Chris and Graham Wright, they took me to an Aston Villa Billy Graham crusade. Wow, because Cliff Richard was going to be singing. Woo! And he was probably the most famous person I'd ever heard of at the time. And I got invited to this Billy Graham crusade. And again, as a 15-year-old, it's not that I was fickle and I hadn't made my mind up, but God was doing something each time. He was doing something in my heart that was just a little bit different. So I go to the Aston Villa thing, big football stadium where people were invited to go out to the front if they wanted to have Jesus into their lives. So those are kind of the three significant areas of my life. That's the what. That's the what's my story. My story is, as an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old, being nudged in very different ways into a connection with God. Now, the who. Right, who? First of all, my parents sent me to Sunday school. So an encouragement to you parents, keep sending your kids to kids' church. Keep sending your kids to good places to do with church. Keep doing it. I over the years, obviously with three little boys under the age of 4, it was hard work on a Friday night, taking them to the kids' church at Calvary. We bought a 7-seater car so their buddies could come. We used to fill this car with whoever could get in at the time. They've all got buddies that they know they used to take to the kids' club at the time. It was great. And we still see a lot of those young people now. So, yeah, you parents that are sending your kids, I look at some of these little ones and I'm thinking, I follow them on Instagram. There's some little ones here that I follow on Instagram. I mean, technically it's not them I'm following, it's their parents, but you know how things have changed. So, yeah, mums, dads, keep on keeping on with the little ones. It's hard work. You take all the street with you. You fill your car. You just do what you have to do. It's great because down the line, it is worth it. So my parents sent me to Sunday school. Then I've got the Sunday school teachers. You know, they have no idea what they have done and how they've nudged me towards God. I know that's why you do it. I know that's why the Sams and the Sarahs do it, is because they want to see people come to know Jesus. I know that's why Mrs. Meredith did it, and Miss Price, and poor Miss Price, this one Sunday school teacher. I think I used to have Alpha all to myself. I had a whole Alpha course on my own with this poor lovely lady, just asking questions all the time. Well, what about this and what about this? And it probably turned into an Alpha course, my Sunday school lesson. But yeah, so I make a point when I see Miss Price, who is now a Mrs. Massey, I always go, thank you so much. And I see her and she's just great and it's just lovely. The connection's there. But these people inputted into my life. They don't know what stepping stones they were in my life. So yeah, we've got the part of the who's is that you young people that are doing, or you not so young people that are doing kids' work. You know, one day there's going to be a 53-year-old Naomi giving her story of her Sunday school teachers, her kids' club, her influences in her life that have been her stepping stones. And this is where we come into, isn't it? Stepping stones in our life. So, yeah, there's a few who's in my life. My friends, parents, right. I used to go to my friend's parents' Sunday tea time. And just by this couple being lovely and kind and taking me to church with my friend, their daughter, that's part of my story. I would have been going to church unless somebody was taking me to church, somebody giving me a lift to church. I wouldn't have gone. They facilitated the way. They took me into their family. And I think maybe many of us here have got friends that we've tried to involve, tried to incorporate. They sit, they come round, and they just see how you live life. And how this family lived life was attractive. They were godly. The nan would be there, and she was really old and really godly, and it was like, really cool family to just connect with. So you guys that have got people in your lives that you go, come round for tea, come to church with us. We'll take you, we'll pick you up, we'll drop you off. These are massive things for some people. They're really needed. They're practical things. I was a 12-year-old. It would have been 2 or 3 buses from where I lived to get to Gornal. So, they were a big part. Then the local church. People don't know the preachers, just the nice ladies that sit in church that prayed with me as a 12-year-old don't know the impact they've had on me. So you guys that are the leaders, you guys that are doing this, you guys that take people off and pray for people, it's an encouragement. You don't know the impact you're having on people. So the who's in your life, the who's that have had an effect on your life, the who's that have been stepping stones to you coming through this door are massive. And they're not usually ones or twos. There's, I can't even list them. I would miss so many out. The connections God has put in our lives. So this is part of the why. Why do I need to share my story? Why is anybody interested? Let's be honest. I haven't been saved from a life of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I haven't. No, I haven't. I was a normal kid, went to a normal school, did well at school, didn't really get into trouble, might have had 1 detention, and that was for engraving my initial on, how stupid was I? I engraved my own initial on my desk, M, with lots of little crosses, and then when I got pulled up about it, I said, no, that's not me. So I hadn't quite got the rebellious thing going on there. And in the end, I went back after school and I said, that M that was it carved on the desk? I says, that was me. Surprise, surprise. So that was about as rebellious as I got at school. Towed the line, yes person. Never liked confrontation, would make me very ill if I had to confront anybody or occasionally get into a bit of a scrape, sticking up for my sister. So, my stories are reasonably dull. I listen to other people's stories and I am fascinated by people's stories. I'm a little bit nosy. I love to know about people. I do. It's probably why I chat quite a lot. I love to know what's going on and how people are doing, and I love to know their story. And we only get to hear it sometimes when there's a baptism. And somebody then tells us their story, and you think, oh, I never knew that about them. And it's exciting, it's brilliant. But, I haven't been saved from a life of drugs or crime or addictions or anything like that. But then, to be absolutely honest, if I'm honest, I bet most of you haven't either. And maybe my story resonates a little bit with some of you guys that, okay, if she can be dull and boring and toe the line, and God still do something for her, because even as a 15-year-old, no matter how good I thought I was, there was still there has got to be more to life than this. There was still that hole, that aching, that, is this it? Just being good, going to school, nice friends, not getting into bother, doing what I'm meant to be doing, heading for college and all that kind of stuff. There's more to life. And even as an ordinary person, a normal person, I realised there was something missing. So my story is significant in that most people, a lot of people, are probably very similar to me. I'm sure I sometimes envy other people's stories, but they've had to go down a route to be delivered from nasty things. So, I probably wouldn't want that in my life. So, my story is significant because it may resonate with with some of you guys that God is interested in the normal, the ordinary, the good person that thinks she's got it all, that thinks she's okay, when actually we all need it. Whether we're being saved from addiction, whether we're being saved from problems, whether we're being saved from the real heartache stuff in life, even normal, I'm saying this very loosely, even normal people need God. You know, we all have a gap in our lives where we need God. So when I look back, it's been a really reflective account of my story, is I've just looked at who God has put down the years in my life, and they are my stepping stones. They have enabled me, stepping stones across a river, enable you to move from one place over the river to another. And I believe there's stepping stones in our lives. There's people that are stepping stones in our lives that enable us to move from being without God to being with God. And sometimes it might be 2 stepping stones. Sometimes it's 50. But we've all got stepping stones in our lives. And I also just want to briefly end with this. We are all a stepping stone. Not only have we got stepping stones in our lives, we are stepping stones to somebody else. I pray that I'm a stepping stone to my neighbours, one way or another. I pray that I'm a stepping stone to my boys and whoever their friends are. They dread sometimes bringing their friends back. Tell him it is Jesus. But we are stepping stones to somebody. And I just pray, as we bring this to an end, I pray that your stepping stone will be highlighted, that you will know who you are the stepping stone to, that you are sometimes the only platform of safety that that person can move to a little bit of a firm foundation, because what we hang on to, the words we sing, I get so excited. I know I jump about, but I'm so excited that God's name is above all things, that I don't have to worry about stuff that's going on at work. I am looking at my fire and thinking, will he let me put it on this winter? Because he's already said I've got to get the throws out and the big chunky jumpers. And I'm like, but, you know, our God is above all that. It's already been said. He's above the economy. He is above everything. So, guys, just to encourage you that no matter what your story is, whether it's dull or exciting, we're all stepping stones in somebody's life. And I just pray over these coming weeks, months, as they expand this series, that you'll realise who you are the stepping stone for. Your story is significant. Your story is a miracle in itself, because that's what Jesus came. He came to turn us from being without him to being in communion with him. So guys, just be blessed over these coming weeks as we all start to learn about. I'm excited to know people's stories. I just love to know how God is moving in people's lives. So bless you all.